Yeah, she's got like another 2 weeks or so. They're going to Thailand. See that? Bangkok. I think it's Bangkok. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Unless they got the letter.
Good evening. This meeting of the Marion City Council, May 12th, 2025, will come to order. Clerk, you'll take the roll.
Mr. Barr? Present. Mr. Ratliff?
Present.
Mr. Schauber?
Here.
Ms. Lang?
Here.
Mr. T. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Prater?
Present.
Mr. R. Smith?
Present.
Mr. Rollins? Present. Mr. Neff?
Here.
Mrs. Stoneberger?
Present. Next, we will start with the invocation. And our minister is scheduled. Had a conflict come up, so we have Ms. Gail Block. Our invocation.
Dear Lord Jesus, we come to you today and we thank you for the many blessings that we have. And we ask your help, dear Lord, and your support for what this city is going to be doing. Please be with all the council members as we discuss the issues tonight. And we ask these things in your precious holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just a couple of reminders. Please be sure to turn off your cell phones. And please make sure there's no talking or whispering or any kind of noises out there. It gets rather distracting for everyone else. So I ask you to adhere to those guidelines. I'm not speaking loudly enough, sorry. I'm loud in my own ears. Okay, be sure to turn off your phones and please make sure you adhere to the guidelines for being here as a part of the public. No talking, no distractions. Thank you. Is that better? Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. We've got summary of proceedings next. Mr. T. Smith?
I move we accept the summary of proceedings as submitted.
And Mr. R. Smith?
Second.
Second. All right. You ready?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
No.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Okay. Minutes are accepted. Old business. Ordinance 2025-047.
Ordinance vacating a public street situated in the city of Marion, Marion County, state of Ohio, and known as being in the southwest quarter of section 21, township 5 west, range 15 east, being part of lots 420, 421, and being a part of Hoyle Street right-of-way area as recorded in the Horatio Hoyle's first edition, plat book 3, page 114 of the Marion County Recorder, state of Ohio, and retaining permanent easement rights.
Mr. Barr, comes out of the Streets and Sewers Committee.
Yeah, we come out Streets and Sewers with 3-0 recommendation to reject. I believe we have some folks from ODOT here to try to explain a little more in depth of what the plan is and why. Is that right?
Yes, Danilo Wotso, the project manager on behalf of the Ohio Department of Transportation.
Tim Brown, I'm the safety program manager at the Ohio Rail Development Commission, which is an independent commission within ODOT.
Yeah, so just, I guess, brief background on the project here. So we're looking to vacate Hoyle Street, which currently outlets onto Kenton Avenue behind the railroad gates. Just creates an unsafe situation where someone could be pulling out into the railroad line, sort of protection there. Doing this similar kind of work south and north of the intersection, along with adjusting the signal timing to the south, so the intersection there of Kenton Avenue and Center Street. It's going to be operating in a way that once, if a train is coming, the gates are coming down, it's going to give an all green to eastbound Kenton Avenue traffic to clear out any queuing traffic that might be sitting across the tracks before the gates close. That would, eliminate the issue of having, vehicles over on top of the tracks once the gates come down. And then after that, signal continues as normal. It just wouldn't open for eastbound Kenton Avenue traffic to continue to make sure the other operations go through the intersection as normal. So, and then part of the safety issue is closing that access there from Hoyle Street. And I understood there were some questions, so we just came here to clear any concerns.
Well, I believe the main issue with our citizens on that end of town is they use that because of the congestion and the trains being stopped on the track. Do you guys have any leverage with CSX?
No, not at all. Yeah, we're just we have the same amount of power as the city does, I guess, as far as the trains are concerned. So we just try to work around them.
But this project is, you're doing something in cohorts with them, right?
Somewhat. So they have installed some cabinets there to allow for the intersection signal to be able to communicate with the gates. But that's as far as it goes.
Yeah, that was a project that was previously funded by the Rail Development Commission. The provision to connect the railroad devices with the traffic signal. The project at hand is to actually make the interconnection along with the other roadway improvements that have been reviewed.
Mr. Rowland, did you have a question?
I do, yeah. So I think the major concern, as Councilman Barr said, was vacating the street altogether. I think there was a lot of citizens' concern that they actually use it to help relieve traffic once the gates do come up. It helps kind of decongest that area quicker. I don't know that cutting that off is a great option. Have you guys looked at other options, or was this the only option?
Yeah, as far as what's financially viable for that intersection at the moment, and then taking advantage of the new interconnect that the railroad installed. So the issue there is, once the gates come down, to get access to Hoyles, you would have to go in behind the gates, which wouldn't be a legal maneuver there. And then, of course, once the gates come up, the signal goes back to operating normally. And part of the safety issue is the fact that does act as kind of it is a bit of a shortcut. But you're introducing a lot of traffic cutting in through there, which can also create an unsafe condition as opposed to just using the signal. Even though it does back up.
Have there been incidents there?
There's been one in the past 5 years that I'm aware of. Going back in history, there have been a number, but there was one, I believe it was an injury. And when we look at crossings, we work with the Public Utilities Commission, actually, and essentially what we're doing is ranking crossings by hazard. So accidents, train traffic, roadway traffic, all kind of factor into it. So I believe this particular crossing, I think somewhere around 500, 600, I believe, according to our consulting engineer. So it's, when you consider that there are 5,700 railroad crossings in the state, say top 10%, it's been a priority for us for a long time to address the safety concerns, hence the previous project with CSX and the current project.
Mr. Prater?
Okay, yeah, I understand as far as going east on Hoyle Street and you're trying to pull out there, you are trapped within the gates. So that should be blocked off, that no one should be able to go that way. But coming out of there, and I know this for a fact, I work with school transportation, that is used all the time, coming west. So it should just be a one-way street going west on Hoyle. And you would then be able to alleviate some of that flow. It comes in very handy, and I know the residents that live in the West End use it all the time. I've used it hundreds of times over the years.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you mean like when the gates are down and there's a long time to, that the trains are coming across.
Yeah.
To sort of escape out of there. So in that case, once the gates come down, with the signal upgrades, so that eastbound Kenton Avenue lane would be clear. much safer alternative there would just be to make a U-turn onto Kenton, and then you would go down to Center Street, make a right turn, and then you made that same,
Sometimes, though,
escape there.
cars can get trapped on there's so much traffic backed up. Cars can, everybody trying to get over there, and the only way to alleviate it is just like you're going that way on Hoyle West, and that allows some of that to alleviate.
If I may, so going, I suppose it would be southeast on 309 Kenton Avenue.
Yeah.
And wanting to go west, is when the gates come up, part of the improvement is to add a turn lane, so there'll be additional capacity south of the railroad tracks. If the project is working, there'll be more capacity there and less of a backup across the tracks when the
So
gates
there
come
would be an
back up.
actual turn lane to where you wouldn't be.
Yeah, so there would be, once you come up to the intersection, there would be 2 lanes. There would be one to turn left and go straight, and then one right turn lane to turn onto.
Now,
Center.
there's
So it
an
does-
actual lane there that would work, that would help.
Yeah, it does add some capacity there, so it's pretty much the same movement, but just instead of going onto Hoyles and then going onto Center Street where you would just have to sit back and wait, you just go up to the signal and take a right turn.
Mr. Smith?
I talked to the owner of the drive-through that's there, and his main concern is that people are going to be cutting through his lot. If Hoyle Street's closed and they can't get out that way, they're going to cut across his lot. He's got people exiting from his drive-through, and he's afraid he's going to end up having crashes. Is there anything you can do to help that situation?
Yeah, so we did also, in a similar way, we get some data from the property owner that owns the business there on either side of Cayuga, because I know he also gets a lot of people cutting through there. And since he's got business on both sides, he did mention there's plenty of times. He wants to have, I guess, all of Cayuga vacated, and I guess that's a separate discussion. But, so it's a bit of a, you kind of help one person, and then, it causes an issue there. But, I mean, like I said, with the additional left-right turn lane, there should be some additional room for people to be able to make that turn there.
Perhaps less of motivation to cut through his property.
Yeah.
Chair recognizing Mr. Brown.
So, I listened closely to what you had said earlier, and I believe the quote was, "We've looked at this and wanted to do something for a long time." So, I'm in my 20th year on City Council. I've never heard you guys having an issue with this. I've never heard anybody, I've never received an email or a letter or anybody coming saying that they are wanting to do something here. So my question is, if you've looked at this for a long time, what have you looked at? And what alternatives have you looked at? And why, being up here for 20 years, are we now just saying close it?
I believe in the project planning development, there were some alternatives considered. I think there were some references to making it one way or only allowing a certain turn movement for eastbound 309 traffic to prevent some of the movements that we were concerned about, where you would end up behind the gate and essentially in the railroad crossing. If you're coming, it would be eastbound on Hoyles or trying to turn around on Kenton to go back south. There have been some options floated, and I believe that the safest approach from our consultants, our engineers, our organization's point of view was the closure to address the movements that we were talking about. And I'm sorry, backing up on the kind of length of time we've been looking at it. That was part of the challenge, essentially, is because there's so much going on at this intersection. It was one of the more complicated projects that I've seen with the Rail Commission, where you have multiple intersections. You have a fair amount of roadway work to the north on Hocking to realign the roadway there, to get it away from the kind of limits of the crossing. So I think that's what I intended by the kind of the length of time. It was recognized that it would be very challenging. So working with CSX was our first step. Get the get the warning devices modified for a potential project like this one to make the interconnect in the future. And then after that, it was just, well, what options do we have to make the crossing safer beyond just the warning devices? So that's where all the roadway work comes in.
And that's,
Sorry, I have another question.
Sorry.
well, that was kind of what I asked. And you said, again, we looked at other options and felt this was the best. My understanding from talking to people, at least who live around there, is that this is not a popular decision. And, whether we like it or not, those are the taxpayers, and they pay me and you. So what other alternatives have we looked at that we could offer them that would be better for them and more suitable for them to like, is what my question is.
Certainly, I think, if there was kind of what the top concern is it being able to turn around if the crossing is occupied for an extended period of time? Is it being able to use it as a reliever for eastbound 309 traffic? Is it being able to use it kind of as a reliever to avoid the intersection for traffic, I believe, going east on Center? So they have different, I would say, solutions. One way in a certain direction, one way in the other direction, some type of turn restriction. So I think that would maybe be helpful as understanding what the priority would be for the city and for the residents.
Mr. Barr, did you get your question answered?
No, I have another question. So will you be coming in the future for Curve Street to vacate that? It's less than a quarter mile to the east, and Curve Street dumps out behind the gate as well. Just down one street past La Lorette.
I really couldn't say at this point.
Right.
We look at some 30, 40 crossings a year, depending on where it is on the hazard index that I mentioned. It's possible that we could come and we initiate a review with the city staff, and that's kind of our project kickoff.
Okay. Well, I hope you can appreciate that our citizens are not happy about this because they use this.
Yes.
And then now we're concerned even more that it may happen just a quarter mile to the east as well. We were hoping you would come with some type of compromise that our citizens could be happy with and our phones could stop ringing as much.
Yeah, as far as like the other one, like I said, I don't have too much knowledge of that just because I just manage these individual projects.
There's no project planned there, and if there were one, it would be in collaboration with the city, the railroad, really all the pertinent stakeholders. That's kind of what our intent is to get the stakeholders together and address crossing safety concerns all across the state. So, and I can tell you there are many crossings like that.
Right. I have a follow-up question. Go ahead, Mr. Shaw.
I'm sitting
thought
here
you raised
listening.
your hand.
I think it was Ms.
No.
Lang. Ms. Lang?
If you close off Hoyle Street, what is the plan to stop the access to that?
They would, as far as having people turn in there, so we would just be building like a curb. Cayuga there would turn into a roundabout essentially. at the end
So
of
what's going to
Cayuga.
stop people from driving over the curb?
I mean, you would hope that the curb would, encourage people to not do that, but I mean, obviously that's outside of.
And there's no way that you couldn't put like a rail guard between the tracks and Hoyle Street to keep that, have a percentage of protection?
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, as far as having a gate. Yeah.
No, even a guardrail. It wouldn't even have to be a gate, a guardrail.
Oh, I'm sorry, if Hoyles were closed?
No, if it remained open. I mean, your concern is the safety issue.
Yeah.
And I've lived here a long time, and my father worked at that railroad, and I am very familiar with that crossing and how the trains stop and everything, and I really don't recall any real hazardous conditions in the last 75 years. So why pick this now? I guess is the question still. Why are we picking this now when there have been no real issues? And I think this is going, if we make this change, it's going to create issues. for not just the people that are living there, but also for the businesses that are there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not, why now, like you mentioned, we look at several crossings every year, and, this just came up, based on all the, the factors that we see, and then it's just a matter of sitting down and seeing, what can we do to improve the safety at this crossing. And that's really been, the main priority there is safety. How can we avoid people from driving up or having access to the tracks, behind the gates, and how can we make the signal work a little bit better so that when the train is coming, the operations change and it helps to clear out that area faster. And then obviously, once the gates are down, there's going to be, a permanent red for Kenton Avenue going south. So the other movements are going to be, circulating quicker through there. So while the gates are down and the trains are coming through, the rest of Center Street and the rest of the intersection will move a little bit quicker. So that's the idea, to remove, increase some capacity by adding that lane, removing the access behind the gates, and then helping the intersection to flow a little bit more smoothly.
So if we just added the lane and changed the light signal, the sequence of the light signal, I think people that have lived in that area, they've dealt with this for so many years that they know what the risks are. And I think they're very cautious when they do take that alternative route. And I agree. I think once we give this up, you're going to take the other two.
Mr. Schauber and then Mr. Smith, and then we'll get back to Mr. Bach.
Yeah, you believe you asked what the biggest issue and concern is. It's not necessarily Hoyle Street being closed. It's the train traffic that blocks that entire section of town off. That's the biggest issue. That's where you have to think bigger and figure out what's going to fix that situation instead of maybe someone driving behind a railroad gate. So if you could play out what this right lane looks, or this extra lane looks like, and the right only lane, because are you going to have painted 2 lanes going south? I guess southeast. Yes.
And so there will be south of the crossing, there will be 2 lanes. So there will be 1 lane to go straight and turn left, and another lane to turn right.
And the signals will be modified to account for that.
And there's enough room there on Kenton Avenue to have 2 painted lanes?
Yes, the existing lane is fairly wide. There's a lot of
It's
pavement.
wide, yeah.
So there's more than enough room to get 2 lanes in there.
Okay. So, but I would go back to the main problem and really think how to solve that problem. In 1960 or 1950, there's a drawing of an overpass. There's one as most recent as 2016-ish of above grade crossings that take care of that entire place. But if you're really down to safety, you're not going to say, well, it costs too much, if you're really concerned about safety.
Mr. T. Smith, did you get your questions?
You may or may not be able to answer this question. How many feet back does the crossing gates need to be from the railroad tracks?
The clearance, I believe, it would be a minimum. I would say it depends on how it's skewed, but is anywhere from, I'd say, 12 to 20 feet typically. But depending on the location, if they're utilities, and like I said, with the skew, generally it's the railroad's preference to have the gate essentially perpendicular to you. So you're not looking at a very long gate that's skewed. You're looking at, a short gate that's directly in front of you. So it's a lot of geometry, but... Well, the reason why I ask is
I just don't understand why we can't put parallel gates with the railroad tracks. And if that, if they do have to be a certain amount of feet away from the railroad, if that is like set in stone, if that's a law, or if that's kind of a preference thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess it is sort of it's a law that the railroad imposes, and that's what we have to follow, unfortunately.
It can come down to what the railroad wants. In this case, if the gate arm is too long, there's a maximum length of the gate. And having a gate on the other side of the roadway would add some additional complications. I don't want to get too technical, but in some areas they have what are called 4-quadrant gates, but they're a lot more complicated to operate. There's factors involved in how the other gate comes up so people don't get trapped in the crossing. So this is essentially, I think, from an engineering standpoint, as close to the railroad was willing to go to kind of what you're seeing out there.
Yeah,
As
and I
close
think-
to the track as they're willing to go.
Yeah, and if we were to make them parallel, I think they would actually have to be even further away, just because of that distance issue than where they are now.
I promised Mr. Barr I'd come back to him.
Well, I guess the main concern for us is if you could leverage your relationship with the railroad, that's the whole issue. I don't think you have any pushback from anybody up here or from the citizens on that end of town. If we can get them to stop sitting on the tracks for 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Hours.
Yeah.
And that's what we find is a safety concern, getting to our constituents with emergency services.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where we have our issue too, because we really have no leverage with them. It's, I forget what it's called, but it's just the fact that, you know, the railroad's there first, so they have, you know, a lot of pull, and we really can't force anything on them or try to leverage any relationship with them. Or we don't have too much to offer them, I guess, as far as, you know, we just come in and we try to make these crossings as safe as possible.
Mr. Arsenault, did you have another question?
Yes, as Mr. Schauber said, you know, go back to 1960s, and there's pictures of overpasses for both Kenton and West Center Street. And the obvious thing was it's too expensive. It's not really good because you don't have the area to work with and things like that. My question is, what's the possibility of getting an underpass? Should take a lot less room.
Yeah, so just a little background. So as I said, I work for the Ohio Road Development Commission, and a program that we've been working on for the past several years was the last biennial budget. The governor established what we call our Great Cross Skill the Nation program. So it's essentially $100 billion. We kind of call it seed money in a way, matching funds that we're utilizing for grade separation projects across the state. So there have been federal programs that have been established for overpasses and underpasses like that. So I mean, I would say if the city is interested, then I think we're more than willing to discuss those options as, you know, consider a project for future federal grant opportunities. I mean, we've submitted 5 projects across the state in the past few years, and they're in the process of various states of development, but they're moving forward. So that's a real possibility. I mean, it's a very extended timeline, and I think that was kind of the key with this project is that kind of what can we do in the short term to address the concerns. I guess to your point about overpasses versus underpasses, I mean, I'm personally not an engineer. I know from an engineering standpoint, when you go under a rail line, they tend to be more expensive and a lot more protracted in terms of coordination and time. But that would probably be something that would be like if a feasibility study or something would provide more insight into. So I mean, if the city is interested, then I think that's certainly worth discussing.
What would we need to do in order to get that started?
We take applications or initial kind of conversations. I mean, city engineer, I think for many cases, or county engineers have reached out to us with a problem, and we've kind of essentially put it into the hopper, kind of see where it fits in. What can we do to help address the problem with this funding if we can? So I personally don't manage that program, but I did want to mention that I can tell you the blocked crossing concern. I mean, I know it's especially, considerable issues in Marion and in Marion County. But Ohio is one of the densest rail networks in the entire United States. So Ohio has borne a lot of the brunt of block crossing issues in every corner of the state.
Another question, Mr. Rattle?
Yeah, so I have a couple here, but now I've always operated under the assumption that Columbus and the state legislature sets the rules on what trains can and can't do inside of Ohio. How long they can block crossings, and that it's the state legislature that sets that.
There are laws on the books related to how long railroads can block crossings.
But my question is, that comes from the state legislature, right?
Yes, they are in the Ohio Revised Code.
So, I'm going to just throw this out there, that I would love for this council, because I have received multiple emails from people throughout the years. I represent a section of town that's in between two railroad tracks, that you can have a train sitting on both. And if you lived over on Avondale and Toledo and you had a medical emergency, that's a real issue. So I would love to have an ODOT sponsored resolution that this council could send to Columbus asking for an overhaul in train laws. And I would love for us to work through the Ohio Municipal League to get other cities to do the same thing. And you are ODOT, and I think that with your backing and sponsorship, we could have some meat to that. And those are the steps it takes to make real change for a lot of people throughout the entire state, and not just close a street that people don't want closed.
Yeah, and I can say for myself, I'm not an attorney. There's I think questions about the enforceability of a lot of the
Supreme Court.
Right.
The Supreme Court had a ruling.
So the laws are on the books. I know that, but I know there has also been a lot of other work related to the extent to which they are enforceable through state law and what is under the federal purview. Unfortunately, so, but I can tell you that it's a major concern across the state, across the United States.
Mr. Barr?
So if this council votes this alley or the street vacation down, what would your next steps be? Would you take eminent domain or annex that?
No. Our next steps would just be to, I guess, look at other options.
Then we would get some other options.
But, we'd have to, it's a matter of backtracking. We haven't looked too much into it. As far as what we do if it wasn't passed, just because we're trying to see if this option is still available to us. Obviously, if not, then we'll just have to circle back and see what then the best option there is. But yeah, there's no intent of eminent domain, so much so that a lot of the right-of-ways that we're obtaining, especially from the railroad to the north there, would all be turned over to the city, so we're acquiring on behalf of the city of Marion, so.
Well, and I hope you can appreciate and understand our concern as 9 here who answer to those that live in that area that are totally opposed to this and want a better compromise or a better solution.
Yeah. Yeah, we still feel just with the improvements, it's still, one of the best options for that area. That's why, we came in this direction.
And is to the north of the tracks, is that project part of, tied to this project?
Yes. Yeah, that one's a little bit different because there are 2 access points, so we're closing one of the points, but the access remains the same up there, just shifting Hawking Street a little bit to the north so that the intersection is outside of the gate.
I believe a portion of Hawking Street is in railroad. It's in railroad right right now, so the project would acquire that property from CSX and be public right of way.
I need to remind the public to refrain from comments or gestures. Thank you. Mr. John?
You mentioned the grants for underpasses or overpasses. Could you give us some more information how we could go about starting that process?
Sure. I mean, I think, what I'm not certain as is kind of where we are in our application cycle.
Right, yeah. So even if we're midstream of your current application cycle, we should have the information for the next go-around so that we can do, because there's several elected officials that have been pounding their heads against the pavement to get something done over there. And this is the first I heard that there's potential grants out there to fund it. We was always told that the railroad would say no to any federal overpasses in Marion County.
Just as perspective, the federal program was about $500 million for the last federal transportation bill. So that's the kind of pot of money across the United States, and it is competitive. So the purpose of the state grant funds is essentially it is matching funds or kind of project development funds, let's say, for feasibility studies, engineering work to kind of determine what the range of alternatives would be to solve a problem.
Okay, so it would not necessarily fund the entire project. It would get, like you said, the feasibility study and to see if it's something that should be done or not.
Yes. I mean, it would be, but getting projects started like that can be, I mean, feasibility studies, engineering studies are not inexpensive.
Okay. And I don't know if you gentlemen are familiar and can answer my question. In this drawing, I don't know if you have this drawing or not. To the east, there's northwest or north-south, two sets of railroad tracks. Do you know who owns those two lines?
It's the ones, oh gosh, yeah, I'm not sure because there's
it's Norfolk and Southern.
Norfolk Southern, CSX, and
CSX. So is CSX the one that has been signed that construction's coming soon for 2 years?
Is it on the crossing surface? Is it roadway condition?
Yes, it is terrible. So if it's CSX, which I believe it is,
Then maybe CSX, yeah.
wouldn't it be a little bit of goodwill before you go closing our streets to fix your crossings? Because you go across that crossing, your car falls apart. That's at 2 miles an hour.
Yeah, that is one part where we're at least able to, I mean, I know we had a similar issue. This was down near Plain City where we had a crossing that was falling apart. And then we got in contact. I don't know what happens after that, but there are, some channels that eventually, the railroad gets contacted, and I believe that one's been corrected. So usually if we hear about, a crossing falling apart, usually we'll...
The crossing was supposed to be completely repaired. That was back in 22.
Yeah.
And then we heard, I was told that the crew is in Baltimore, North Baltimore or something, working our way. Never showed up. Then I think it was last year we got a memo saying that it's not in the budget, and they threw some cold patch in the holes. So it's not fixed.
I'm happy to reach out to their public projects manager and.
I would be happy to see them fix it.
Yeah, what is it? State route.
It's 309.
It's 309. Okay, it's the double.
Yes, it's the two north-south tracks.
Mr. Ralph Smith?
Yeah, while we're talking about crossings on Kenton Avenue and Center Street, Bell Fountain Avenue is starting to fall apart too, and I believe that's a CSX also. So put that on your list, please.
Yeah, you can reach out. Like I said, this one in Plain City that we had recently was actually a couple members of the public that put in through ODOT, and then that kind of alerted us to the issue, and we went out and there's a group at ORDC that handles.
That's me.
That communication, yeah. That's so.
Well, we've communicated, and like I said, we got a memo saying it's not in the budget, and then you want to come and close a street.
Yeah, so, I mean, we can certainly take a look at typically we handle these projects as cost shares with the railroad, so we can offer funds, but ultimately CSX, they self-perform their projects, so typically they need to also provide a cost share for us to move forward with it. But we've done them successfully in the past, like with 161, and that was CSX. There was one up in Lorraine County recently, State Route 82 that we did with them last year. But it's just a matter of essentially convincing them to spend their capital and to match our funds, essentially.
Mr. Neff?
You said preliminary, the preliminary different ideas that you had. One of them was possibly making Cuyahoga one way. And I think just from the input that we've got from the citizens here, that they feel that would be the easiest and simplest solution is to make that one way and have it head away from the railroad tracks.
One way
West.
One way west. Yeah, and I mean, that one, the big issue with that one is it's still, once the gates are down, if you're behind the gate going north on Kenton there, you would still have to get up behind, and it's not really a situation that we can really, put in there. I mean, you would have to just go behind the gate to access that road, which would still not be, a legal movement. So if we're talking about, what would be possible, and then obviously we wouldn't be able to move it to the south because there's a business there.
Mr. Shaw?
So we do that illegal movement now. Who's it illegal with? The railroad, or is it a moving violation? Because last I heard, the railroad doesn't write laws or issue traffic tickets.
Yeah, I'm again not an expert on the traffic laws, but I believe driving a residence. I don't have the citation, but driving around the lower gate.
Yeah, because if you look at your map where the railroad crossing gate is, the way it exists, if someone was stuck there trying to head west and they went around that loop, they're essentially going behind the gate. Now.
Yeah, and that's that kind of the, because the roadway being there in a certain way, it sort of encourages.
Is that the safety you're trying to improve upon, so people?
Yeah,
Or we're trying to
really the
reduce?
issue, right? We're trying to get rid of that traffic behind the gates, right? And so it's difficult to, it's hard to push forward an option where we are allowing that movement, so in a certain way, we're still, encouraging, people to go up around there and take Hoyle Street down to Cayuga. Because that would be the situation where that is the most useful, right? Is for people to get out of there once the gates are down.
And so what you're saying is you knowingly can't make a situation where someone's breaking the law, but we don't know which law they're breaking.
Yeah.
We could go
Ms.
back
Lang?
to the way it was. We could go back to the way it was 50 years ago, get rid of the gate and put a man there.
Hey, I need a job.
Any other questions for council? Thank you very much, gentlemen. Very helpful. Wishes of council?
So I can read unless anybody from the audience has something to say.
Naomi Craig, 365 Street. Mr. Ratliff, the State Supreme Court, August 2022, said we can't find trains for stopping anymore. And that's the reason why they don't mind stopping for 3 hours.
Exactly right.
So Decatur Street, Marion, Ohio. I kind of pondered wondering why they wanted to block these two off. I mean, I don't see any problem with Oil Street. I mean, who cares? But that this might be the one place, I mean, the railroad wants to block this one and that one off because this might be the one place where it's a major liability for them in case of an accident. because it's between, I mean, you basically, these two streets are, I mean, they're city streets, but they're still in railroad territory. And that's probably one of the reasons they want to get rid of it. Somebody has an accident there, that it's no longer just their fault. It could be theirs too. Something to think about.
That's nothing right there.
Michelle Raymond Lilly, 371 Peace Avenue. So I feel like you guys may have some confusion on the one-way direction we're trying to go. We wanted to go the other way, one way.
Are you talking to me?
No, sir.
Do you have a
The
question?
ODOT fellow right behind you.
What-
Not
what's
behind
your-
you. I'm sorry. So keep that in mind, please. We can't go on this way, so we can dump out away from the track. Correct. Yeah. And then question on the lane expansion. If we were to put a right-hand lane, would that lane go all the way and extend from like the beginning to the track, or just closer up near the intersection? Would be a question I have, because if it goes all the way to the track and you would essentially be widening the road and a whole additional lane, that could be a possible solution. Maybe. And then what are the other options of the plans that you had for those traffic signals? If you could be more specific as to what those patterns would be, we would greatly appreciate that as well. And we would just like to know what those other plans that were discussed prior to this option were, if we could hear those options as well. And I guess so, council, if not, then we know to go ahead. He said he was going to send it back to the drawing board if you voted it down, so maybe that should just be the way to go. Thanks.
Leaving this at a
Second reading.
Item number 2, an old business, is resolution.
You have another-
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And I'm sorry.
Amber 332 Nye Street, Marion, Ohio. Another thing was, we did surveys and sent them in to you, but we never heard the survey results that the residents were supposed to fill out, voicing their opinions. And also, I wonder about the statistics, because I know you mentioned that within the last 5 years or something, there had been an accident there at Hoyle, but I know 2 years ago, as we were talking about that Cayuga, there was someone just a couple years ago where there was an accident on those tracks, but you didn't mention that, and that was more recent. Also, Whirlpool employs 3,000 people and runs 2 shifts. Even if, about 1,500, maybe, twice a day, going through there, if even half of those go through that intersection, which a lot of them do, did you calculate how much traffic actually uses Hoyle and how much traffic will come through there? And if you cut that off, Hoyle Street off, then although you're alleviating and making the lights work with Kenton Street when the tracks comes down and there's a train on there, but when the train's blocking the tracks, you don't have any traffic coming from that direction. We're more concerned about all the people lined up on Center Street, and actually them cutting through the Motor Mart parking lot, the drive-through parking lot, and also through the residential area, which a lot of times we still get a lot of that traffic that does go through stop signs and everything else in that area. And the potential for the residents, like I told them a couple weeks ago, I don't want to be pumping gas at Motor Mart, go to walk in to pay and get run over by somebody who's got some road rage trying to go through Motor Mart parking lot. So those are the safety issues that we are looking at. And I know that people cross, if somebody chooses to cross a crossing with the gate down, and I've lived in that area for 35 years, I know what it looks like when the gate's down, then they've made that option. Just a week ago, I was on, I believe it was Center Street, track things came down, and I watched somebody in front of me on a whole different track go over it with the gate down. So it happens all over Marion, so if that person makes that decision, I don't see how, if this gets voted down, you could even look at the liability on the city, because that's a decision the person made when they crossed the track. So, thank you.
There are no further questions. I'll move on to item 2 of old business. Resolution 2025-006, 007.
Resolution expressing the City of Marion Council's endorsement and acknowledgement that the Trex transfer will be an economic development project.
Mr. Arsmith.
Yes, I believe that this came out of Jobs and Economic Development. And at that time, we had voted to send it on to council. I believe that that request has been rescinded,
Yes.
so I think there's nothing we can do with it.
Have to do something.
Mr. Barr.
I think we ought to vote it down. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, motion to approve from Mr. Barr and a second from Mr. Neff.
Ready?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
No.
Mr. Ratliff?
No.
Mr. Schauber?
No.
Ms. Lang?
No.
Mr. T. Smith?
No.
Mr. Prater?
No.
Mr. R. Smith?
No.
Mr. Rollins?
No.
Mr. Neff?
No.
Unanimously voted down.
Madam President, could we, I don't know if anybody knows, if they have withdrawn everything, do we know what the plan is and why?
There was that was in our,
I attached the email with that in your packets. Apparently, they are applying for a actual sit-down liquor license.
Like, as in that, I mean, I don't know if we know, I mean, are they looking to open a bar now?
I'm
they
not
weren't
sure.
specific.
I know the gas station on Walnut and Delaware Avenue sells shots in foam cups for people to walk out with.
Yeah. Is the police department aware of that?
I asked the chief when I was on council, and he told me that they've got the appropriate license for it.
So this, if I may,
Yes,
Madam President, so this is an issue that has been before us in the last term of council. I think we all learned that the permit that they hold at the gas station we're talking about is just like an eatery, and bar eatery. And so they have a table inside. I've never seen it, but that's we were advised of. And so to go in and sit at the table and have a shot is not violating their license. And to carry a container out, just like was put in place during COVID, it's just as any bar can do now because of COVID, they can carry your carry-home drinks with you. So that wouldn't be violating their liquor license either.
Thank you.
Mr. Ratliff, I had the same look of concern on my face when I heard it.
All right. Mr. T. Smith.
Did you receive the whole email? It's pretty informative. It says that it's not dry for D-class permits anymore, and they signed up and received one.
They've signed up, they've not received it yet because it has not gone through
Right.
legislative code.
And then I know the last time that they were here, there was concern about that they had not gotten permits, they've not gotten inspections. Do we know if that is solved? Because I know I kind of monitored it for a few days after that, and it seemed to me that they were open every day. They didn't miss any business, although they were told that night that if they were open, they were operating illegally. And they were open every day that week. So I didn't know if they had gotten what they were supposed to have and was operating illegally now or not, if anybody knew the answer to that.
I was there Sunday. There's still a notice on the door from the health department stating that they are closed. The walk-in convenience store area was locked. You couldn't get in, but the ice cream shop was still the drive-through and the walk-up you could go into.
Okay.
All right. We'll move on to item number 3, ordinance 2025-041.
Ordinance vacating part of a 16.5-foot public alley lying west of lots 43 and 44 and east of lots 53 and 54, original plat of the village, now City of Marion, plat book 1, page 3, and retaining permanent easement rights.
Mr. Barr, comes from your committee.
Yeah, come out of Streets and Sewers with a 2-0 recommendation to approve, come out of the Planning Commission with an 8-0 recommendation to approve. I have nothing further to add unless there's some questions, but I know we have to have a public hearing also, so whenever you want to start that.
All right,
The applicant is here if we have any questions.
very good. We'll start the public hearing now at 7:24 on this issue. Anything from the applicant or the public? End the public hearing, hearing nothing, at 7:25.
T. Smith.
Mr. T. Smith?
I'll make a motion we approve.
A motion to approve Mr. T. Smith, and a second for Mr. R. Smith.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Knapp?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 4, Resolution 2025-010.
Resolution confirming the appointment by the mayor of Benjamin Moore as a member of the Marion City Planning Commission.
This is one of your positions, Mayor. And Mr. Rollins, did you have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Mr. Rollins, a second from Mr. Prater. Any discussion from Mr. T.
Do we
Smith?
need to, never mind, it's the second reading, I'm sorry, this is the
I
third.
got caught up on the same thing.
Never mind.
It's our third reading. Okay, have a motion, a second?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
No.
Mr. Schauber?
No.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Knapp?
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. Next is item number 5, Resolution 2025-011.
Resolution confirming the appointment by the mayor of Bob Goyer to serve as the 5th member of the Board of Directors of the Marion Port Authority.
Mr. Rollins?
I will make a motion to approve.
Looks like a second from Mr. Knapp.
Second.
Discussion?
Okay, now this may be an email I didn't get, but at the last meeting and the meeting before, I had just asked the question, and I said, I don't know if it is if it's an issue having a member of the media on boards such as this. Our assistant law director last time thought that it had a potential of that, but he wasn't sure, and that we would hear from you. So I'm asking for that opinion.
So the discussion at the last meeting was shared, and I did research Ohio law. And in Ohio, the Attorney General has throughout the years compiled a list of public offices and conflicts regarding a public office. Because what we're talking about here is a member volunteering to be a member of the Port Authority. And the County Port Authority works with the Toledo Port Authority in regards to development and financing, and we will have seen them in the last decade, decade funding electrical conservation programs and electric savings programs in the city, individual projects. But looking at the Attorney General's conflict list, a member of the Port Authority, there's not a prohibition for that person to happen to be employed in, you mentioned the media. And of course, there's various different kinds of media too, but nowhere on the list of the conflict list was a reference to media. So the law doesn't say that he can't, he's prohibited to serve. But importantly, a person that holds public office, a member of the Port Authority holds public office, we're all well aware of our obligations in holding public office, which is not to be engaged in a matter in which we may have a personal interest, which is easy to understand generally in regards to a contract with benefits or money. But there may be times where it may be the appearance of impropriety, and I guess from my perspective, you're talking about being a member of the Port Authority, also involved in media. I don't know whether it's paid in that position or volunteer in that position, and the information they may gain at the Port Authority meeting and then sharing it. The responsibility of that member is to not share information that is a fiduciary obligation to keep confident. So a member that may be in the media employed or not compensated could serve as a Port Authority, and the conflict would arise when the issue before the Port Authority was at hand, and then the Attorney General has listed out about 5 steps that person can take. Remove them from the room, step aside, so there's a rigid list of what that person can do to avoid the appearance of impropriety or actually being involved in a contract in which they have an interest. So all that being said, there's nothing in the law that says Mr. Boyer can't serve.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Russell.
Thank you, and that's just been my concern about it, and I have my answer, so thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
No.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Knapp?
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Boyer. Item number 6, ordinance 2025-045.
Ordinance designating depositories of public funds of the city of Marion and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Lang.
This came out of Finance Committee, 2-1 recommendation to approve. We've discussed this, tonight's the 3rd read. I don't have any further questions, if anybody else would have any. If not, I would like to make a motion.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Mr. Schauber.
Last year, didn't this come through finance? Or was it in '23? This came through finance and we had the wrong dates, because it was a September date. And this has an August 1 of '24. Did we designate depositories for the 5-year period last year? I don't remember doing
What's
that.
your question?
I believe it was withdrawn.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was withdrawn, so what date is the actual date of the 5-year time period of depository? Because I know this is changing banks or percentages, I believe it's percentages, but it came through finance, either 23 or 24. We got confused on what date we needed, and then it was, I believe, like the clerk said, it was completely withdrawn, and now we have a 24th date, 2024 date. And
I want to know if the dates are correct.
I guess this refreshed my memory if indeed in August of '24, we designated depositories. Because it's for a 5-year period.
Right.
And we tried to do that in either '23 or '24. Rollins, do you remember this? Do you remember if we did move forward with something, or was it pulled back and we didn't do anything?
To be honest, this is probably the 4th time I've seen this legislation.
It's at least the 4th time, yes.
Yeah, so
So I don't think it's a big hang-up, it's just, are we,
It hasn't come through finance since I've been on.
so then,
So it
did
had
it
to have
happen in
been
24?
23.
Yeah, so how can we pass something in '23 with the
25.
effective date of August of '24?
And I think that's the period, the
Well,
control,
the
it
period is
says
just
under
5 years,
control.
so if the date changes, it's still 5 years. You're allowed to change it.
So in '29, we'd have to do it again.
Ms. Lang,
Right.
could you
And-
state that a little louder? for everybody?
It's a control, it's under the control period is August 1 of 2024, the way I understand it, up to August 2nd of 29. So is that, am I reading that right?
Yes, that is correct.
So,
But we, at one point in '23, we was going to change that 5-year period, and it was pulled back, and we never, and I don't remember it ever coming back through to actually do it. But if this ordinance with these dates changes it, then that would be okay then, right?
Madam President, in response to Mr. Sharber's question, he's exactly right. So the ORC just requires that the council pass a resolution designated depositories once every 5 years. So technically, you could change those dates to today's date, pass the ordinance, and then you're good for a total of 5 years.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Ratliff.
So, all right, so I believe that it did come through last year. I'm quite sure.
in 24.
And it was questioned at that point, and it was withdrawn because our treasurer found that it didn't need to be done, that it wasn't expired at that time. And so if we were to pass this as it sits, we're only passing this for 4 years, because it's only until August 2nd of 2029, and I think we're supposed to pass it every 5, and then we would not be truly acting the way we should, because we're only passing something for 4, and it's supposed to be passed for 5. So, and I guess some of these should have been even asked earlier, and because it talks in here about that we have received applications from these banks. Have we received updated applications? Because we have to deem them appropriate, and so
Yeah, the banks have signed the papers.
after August 1st of 2024? So in other words, should we keep the date of August 1st, 2024 to,
Yeah, what were the dates of the signed contracts with the banks?
I don't have that with me. It was before 2024, I'm sure.
Surely before today, so we can't change that.
Well, we would need to make it within the date that the contracts were signed.
Mr. Ratliff, you have that?
I would suggest that we send this back to committee. I don't think that it's ready. I think we need to ensure that proper applications have been sought and reviewed, and we have to make sure that the dates are correct. We should have done that before now, but we haven't, and we're on a 3rd reading at this point. I sure don't think it's ready to pass, and I don't think we should vote it down. So again, I propose I'll make a motion to send it back to committee.
Why would you want to send it back to the committee?
Because we don't have, we're not sure if you have gotten updated paperwork from the banks, and there is not proper dates on here.
What do you mean it's not proper date?
It says that this would be from the time period August 1st, 2024, up to
Is it
August.
5 years?
It's 2025.
Yeah, I know, but is this 5 years, the time period of this?
If you are
Of the
supposed,
dates?
the reason it's 5 years is because this council is supposed to pass something every 5 years. If we pass it with wrong dates, we then would have to pass it in 4 years, because then you're out of date.
It's not the wrong date.
Whether
That
you-
is 5 years.
Then you're 12 months late. You're either 12 months late or there's a wrong date.
Mr. Russell, I thought you just addressed this. It sounded...
Mr. Ratliff's point, if I may, is we should, instead of having it read August 1st, 2024 to August 2nd, 2029, which is 5 years, since we're here in May of 2025, we should say May 12th of 2025 to May 11th, 2030. Get our 5 years, get our 60 months. And you're right, the council just must pass an ordinance that designates depositories once every 5 years.
So I don't see any reason why you wouldn't get the full 60 months out of it.
But does that take care of that?
Mr. T. Smith?
If we amend the date in this, will it mess up the contracts, though? That's what I heard them discussing with the bank. That won't be an issue at all?
No.
Mr. Schauber?
This is the exact same confusion that we had when it was pulled back before, and it all fell on the shoulders of the applications. At that time, I don't believe, if Ms. Rollins can remember, we didn't have any applications to present the Finance Committee. I want to say that was in 22.
22?
So, and so if we did it in 22, it got pulled back, and then again in 23, if the applications is important, then we should send this back to committee.
Are you seconding Mr.?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion to send it back to committee and a second from Mr. Schauber. Any more discussion from anyone? All right.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Send it back to committee. Next on the agenda is item number 7, ordinance 2025-049.
Ordinance making an appropriation mandated by ORC 5705.44, previously approved by ordinance 2024-135 in the below listed line item for the year ending December 31st, 2025.
Ms. Lang?
Okay, this came out of committee with a 2-1 no recommendation. Tonight is the second read. I don't have any further comments at this time.
Questions or comments from council? Ms. Courtright, did you want to add anything?
I would just ask, they're going to still have some conversation with Courtney on that, on some of the grant funds. And then there's been some change in staff. So I would like to just keep this a second read because there's a little more time. But Mr. Ratliff asked for this the last time. Mr. Neff. This is just FY informational based on the request that you had asked. So this gives you the sources of funding. And 24-25, she added 23 revenue, but she gave expenses for 23. Then it shows how the monies have been used in 24 and 25. There is one of the grants that's kind of given us a little bit of headache, so we're not quite sure on it. So I would like to wait, and there's some change in staff. So another 2 weeks to give us a little bit of time to clarify that, to make sure there just need no changes.
Okay. Thank you.
So if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
When you say
Blank?
change of positions, is it?
Just one of the advocates has left the county, so they'll be reposting it. So we have a new person, what kind of benefits they take. So we'll just have, we'll have to look at that. But also as a partial year, so it wouldn't be the full amount.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Courtright? All right. Leave that at a second reading then, and go on to item number 8. Resolution 2025-012.
Resolution authorizing the use of a portion of the proceeds of bonds or bond anticipation notes of the city in the estimated principal amount of not to exceed $9 million to be issued for the purpose of constructing, acquiring, furnishing, and equipping the fire station, improving the site thereof, and purchasing and acquiring equipment and apparatus related thereto, and authorizing and approving related matters and declaring an emergency.
Mayor Collins? Did you have anything to remark on this?
This is the second read.
Want me to do it?
Yes, we can discuss first.
So, Madam President, I had met with the Director of Budget Management to get a little background. and follow up on some questions that may have been raised at the last meeting. So I understand the last meeting, there was a vote by council to waive committee consideration, and the ordinance, the resolution actually received its first reading. Obviously, we're here for a second reading. There's nothing in Ohio law that prohibits or inhibits the ability of council to suspend the rules tonight and pass this resolution. This resolution is very important from the standpoint that, as we are all well aware, we're going to construct a new fire station. And as we are also all well aware, the voters of our community voted to pay by property tax the funds necessary to enhance the fire station and the fire department. So what this ordinance does, there will be bonds sold to construct the facility and reconfigure the facility. And at times, it may be necessary that the general fund advance some monies because the levy fund may not have sufficient monies at certain times. This resolution and its passage tonight will allow any expenditure associated with the construction of the new fire station, and if funds were necessary from the general fund, to be reimbursed. So this is what the ordinance that are routinely passed by council when there's borrowing for a different fund to reimburse the general fund for the expenditures or any monies that were necessary to complete the transaction. Be happy to answer any questions, but I'd urge council to suspend the rules and pass this resolution this evening.
Any questions for the law director? Mr. Smith?
Make a motion, we suspend the 3 reading rule.
I'm sorry, but we might have a question for the law director here.
Hey, I'm Craig Tracy, Thanks on Street. I guess this is a question for the law director. Well, his statement, maybe a question. I didn't realize that slipping something on matters not on the agenda at the end of the meeting was considered a first read.
It was added as an item not on the agenda.
Okay, well, so this is our second read. You guys are going to suspend rules, and I think the public has heard about 7 minutes of conversation on this. And I'm only speaking for myself, but I think there's a lot of confusion about what's going on with this bond. You're borrowing $8, possibly $9 million. We're going to pay the general fund back 1.2 from the building that we just bought, that we should have had tax levy money set aside for. And if that's not right, that's what I heard when we had our 6 minutes of matters not on the agenda or whatever it was. So
is that your question?
I guess I just need it explained. I think we deserve more of an explanation than just suspend and pass, because we're talking about a lot of money for a long time for the city. And I think it just, I asked, actually, Mr. Ratliff, I asked him a question if he thought maybe giving ourselves back the $1.2 million might keep us out of fiscal watch. And that was just my question, and it was just a speculation on my part, but I think we're due some more.
Well, your question, I asked for questions for the law director, and it sounds like
I'm not allowed to ask just questions.
Well, I just meant that it sounds like, you know.
Could we get some more explanation then, I guess, would be the question.
Where can we get that from? Is Courtright or Mayor?
The reason this passage would be tonight is in case we do need to reimburse ourselves. We do not necessarily need to at this point, but we do have a 60-day rule from when we purchase the property to have this in place in case it comes about in the next 18 months. This allows up to $9 million for the renovation and improvement of that building, which we don't know exactly how much it's going to cost. Originally, we did this back in 18 with free land, and then that did not happen. We ended up buying a building. We should have some cost savings because now having a building on property should save us, the city, money instead of building from ground up. But this allows some safety nets in case we have additional costs that would exceed more than the $8 million that we anticipated. We already paid for the building, did that at the end of March 27th. This would just allow for, in case we need to go over the $8 million, but less than $9 million, that we could reimburse ourselves. We could get a little bit of that money back from the bond.
Thank you. Mr. Chauver, did you have a question?
Yes, so the purchase price, dollars, we can reimburse ourselves, and that there's a time frame that we have to fall within to be able to reimburse ourselves. That's correct?
60 days.
And we're coming up on that 60 days. And that's the reason for the declaration of an emergency. Would it be a better course of action if we only went up to that amount? Because with the declaration of emergency, we're taking, and suspending the rules, we're taking away all rights of referendum. And maybe people want to discuss more if they want to spend $8 or $9 million on renovations. Because if you just go at the money you're on a time crunch on, you got yourself covered, and then come back when you have solid numbers on the fire department, construction, and have a further, longer, and an in-depth conversation. Because the balance isn't in a time crunch. Or am I mistaken?
This language is just the initial, this would be the whole purchase. I mean, obviously, as we are having discussion about, what we're putting in that building, we obviously, or if you could probably describe it more, I mean, you could bring that more to the community. I mean, Firehouse was already passed by voters that they wanted a new firehouse in the city of Marion.
Yes, and I agree, but this resolution grants permission up to $9 million. So I guess, what's the harm in that option? Because we're in the time crunch, selling bonds for the 1.5 or whatever it is, and then coming back later when we have more ducks in a row to do the balance. What would be the harm in that?
Well, I think, Madam President, I think what we're looking at here is we're in the beginning phases of this whole process. And as we move forward with the consultant and the engineers and the architects, those things are going to be brought back to council on a regular basis. This is what we're looking at. This is what the building's going to cost for renovation. This is what the new construction part of the bays will be. So I think council is going to be continually kept informed as we move forward. And if they decide it's too expensive of a building, then I think they will say it then. But we don't have any idea. I mean, the $9 million, they got that price way back in 2018. And the consultant said by us purchasing this building, we should save a couple of $1 million over building a new one. So hopefully we're going to be under the $9 million. So. Yeah, I think we'll keep council appraised of where we're going with this building as we progress forward. Right now, we're just in the request for qualifications phase of eligible contractors that will be able to do the building.
Okay, so
Ms. Lang, let me go to Ms. Lang first, and I'll come back. Ms. Lang?
How much money have we transferred over from the levy that we have in our account?
We didn't transfer money. Are you talking about what we paid out of the levy fund?
Okay, so the levy is through the property taxes, and the county sends over the funds to us. So how much money have we received from county property taxes that have gone into the fire levy fund?
Well, we used all of that money from the fire levy fund to make the purchase on the building, so the 1.175, and that was close. I think maybe we were at 1.3. I think we were at 1.3 then, so that was then.
And how often do we get those levy funds? Once a year? Twice a year?
We get it in March and August.
And so basically what this ordinance is doing is allowing us to go ahead and purchase or pay whatever we need to pay out of the general fund, and then when the levy money comes in, we reimburse ourselves?
No, this ordinance is saying, a resolution, is allowing us to purchase, sell bond up to $9 million. If the renovations cost us 8.2, and our levy fund, because fire trucks are more expensive, things that we are planning on buying out of that fund, we could reimburse ourselves for that difference and put that back into our fire fund and pay for it as a bond. We're not intending to do that, but this is our just in case safety net. We don't know how much costs have gone up since 2018.
Mr. Schauber?
So I still haven't heard an argument why we just, why we have to go for the whole 9 million and we just can't ask for the dollar amount that we're in a time crunch.
But we don't know what that dollar amount is.
Because it sounds like it's 1.75 million is in this time frame that we have to have this resolution passed to be reimbursed.
Mr. Ratliff, do you have a question?
All right, so I hope I'm not too long with my thought process here, and maybe I'm quick to be a conspiracy theorist sometime, but when I first got this placed on the agenda, my fear was, when I saw the $9 million price tag, and knowing what I know about the fire levy, was that because I admittedly feel that the city is in worse financial shape than we have portrayed, and what maybe other people believe that the city is in. And my thought is that we could use this money, in addition to the fire levy, to pay things like salaries for our firefighters, to keep from laying people off, to keep us afloat financially. And then by the time that this was all gone, we would be further in the hole than what we are now. Upon talking to the fire chief after the last meeting and thinking about it more, if we've purchased a building for 1.1 whatever million dollars, we now own a structure. Unless we start doing something with that, the worst thing you can do to a structure is just let it sit. And that's when you start having leaky roofs and a bunch of issues with this. Now, if it's going to take $8-9 million to change the building into a firehouse, we have to get the money from somewhere. And for us to wait until there's $8 or $9 million in the fire fund, we're talking 6-7 years. And by that time, it's going to cost us more money to renovate the building because the building will be in disrepair at that point. So we have to borrow the money to redo the firehouse, I think, to make it the most economical for everybody. So we either have to, and the way that the city borrows money is bonds. And so, the more that I thought about it, the more that it does make sense that we do this. And again, admittedly, two weeks ago, I was like, whoa, I was maybe jumping to conclusions in my head, but and then when I talked to the fire chief too, and he, and I don't have it in front of me, but when we passed this fire levy a long time ago, there was a grid, and he put out years in advance of what that we're going to need. And he said, if you remember, there were negative dollar amounts because we needed to buy this fire truck here and this ambulance here, and so we knew the levy money was going to run into the negative. And we not only know that it's going to run into the negative, but we also purchased a building for $1.1 million that we didn't anticipate having to do because we were going to use the land in front of the hospital that we already own. And we should really, side note, take consideration that the hospital did not do that with us on building on on land that we already own. But the more that I have thought about this, the more sense that it does make. And if we're under a time crunch that it has to be done in a certain amount of time, and we don't have until the next meeting, I think we have to pass it tonight.
I have a motion from Mr. Smith. I don't think I got a second yet, though. Mr. Rollins, second.
So moved.
All right. You ready?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Rollins?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Mr. Prater. You don't have to read this again, do you? Okay. All right, let's go.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
No.
Ms. Lang?
Yes?
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, moving on to new business. Item number 9, ordinance 2025-050.
Ordinance amending Chapter 149.01 of the Marion City Code to require certain employees to have sufficient surety bonds and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Neff?
Yes, this came out of legislation and codes with a 3-0 recommendation to approve. Tonight's going to be the first reading.
All right. Any discussion or questions? Ms. Lang?
In looking over the chart that is attached to this, that I guess is going to be a part of this amendment, I don't think it's necessary for the employee names to be in there. I know that we have to, according to ORC, we have to identify who is being bonded. That can be by office, like auditors, deputy auditor, internal auditor, mayor, so on and so forth. So is there any way that we can amend that so that it goes by department, like all clerks for utility billing, supervisor, clerk at waste, water administrative assistant? Like down at the bottom, there's the engineering department, safety service, sanitation, council clerk, and airport. There is no bond amount in there because they are currently not required to be bonded, yet all those personnel handle, some of them, significant amounts of cash. So I would recommend that we put a sum of $100,000 in there for their bond, and that would be an additional $223 per person, adding $1,115, making a total of $5,998 if we did individual bonds. I know I was not here for committee. I did listen to the audio, the recording of it, and there was discussion about the insurance policy and the possibility of increasing those bonds amounts through the insurance to $100,000. It broke in and out, so I wasn't able to listen to all of it. It's my understanding that if we increase the bond amount through the insurance company, it would be an additional $100 on the insurance policy to cover these amounts. It doesn't matter with me one way or other the way it goes. I just think if we do decide to go on bonds, that we should identify who and what what department needs to be bonded specifically. And if we decide to go with the insurance, my concern with going with the insurance, although it's not a great increase in the cost, the deductible goes up considerably. I think the city would possibly have more protection via a bond over the insurance. And I'm open to hear what anybody else says and thinks at this point, too.
Mr. Schauber?
So, I don't know if this is the law director to answer this or not, but to Ms. Lang's point, with this chart being part of the ordinance, and it has specific names of individuals listed, and they are no longer employed with us, does that play in anything that we have, or if they just quit and leave and we change employees?
So the legal and controlling portion is under the department where it lists auditor's office, and we're just trying to describe the position that's required to have the bond.
Right.
That happens to be the person that's serving in it, so we can identify what position, when did that person serve in it, to identify, is that the position that in the years of the future has to be bonded? It's just to identify the position, because, you know, you could have, you could have 3 clerk 2s on here, but if you said all clerk 2s and utility billing have to be bonded, you might leave someone else. So it's just identifying the particular position at this time for which has to have the bond to the right.
And with specific names.
That's just to identify the position.
And that has no merit in the future, that when Andrea Honecker is no longer the supervisor of utility billing, that we would have to revisit and amend this to whoever takes her place?
No, that's not the intent at all. In fact, one of the drafts that I had done, trying to work with the team to get it into this format, was for in that column, that's informational only. You know, it's not controlling, it's not legal
Okay.
basis. It's just, it should say employee and then in parentheses, informational only. It's only to tie the position to the person at a point in time. So it should actually be employee in parentheses, informational only.
Would that have to be as an amendment?
Yes, yes.
I will make that amendment.
Yeah, 'cause I have that too. And then would we also have to amend and put the sum amount in to the, amend it to put the sum amount at the bottom, that there are no sum amounts in there?
Well, I think you're referencing to the second rectangle portion, right?
Yes.
Where, yeah, I mean, those actually, since this ordinance is not requiring those positions to have a bond, that should,
On the insurance.
it's covered with insurance. It shouldn't be on this at all. They're not required to have a bond. That's why the column is blank and vacant. So that second rectangle should actually just be removed, because those people are covered through the insurance.
Well, I will withdraw my amendment motion and restate my amendment that after employees, we bracket informational only, and we strike the cash, or the cash check, no bonds box that has engineering, safety service, sanitation, council clerk, and airport.
Okay, so Mr. Schauber has an amendment to offer informational only added after employee and striking the bottom rectangle. Mr. Rollins?
Second.
Mr. Rollins seconds Mr. Schauber's motion to amend. Are you ready?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Rattler?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Motion carries to amend. Ms. Rattler?
I didn't want to muddy up the last amendment, so I will ask this. Are we happy with all the bond amounts?
Now that you mention that, who has the floor?
Whoever she calls on.
Mr. Schauber?
So, since Mr. Ratliff posed that question, and in light of our last 5 years, 6 years, is 250 enough out of the auditor's office? Should that be 500,000? But I don't know what that would change for the estimated cost.
Point of order.
Mr. Rollins?
Just a quick point of order. Should we reread the legislation as amended?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ordinance amending Chapter 149.01 of the Marion City Code to require certain employees to have sufficient surety bonds and declaring an emergency as amended.
Okay, so we do know that we have police and fire pension. That was around 15,000. We know we have 941s that were tens of thousands, and I believe some 1095s through the IRS that were in the tens of thousands. And we have attorney fees to fix those, which I believe were around a lot. So is 500,000 out of the question?
Mr. Rollins?
At one time, you had been tracking everything on a spreadsheet. Do we know what that grand total is at this point?
So,
Yeah, I know the spreadsheet you're talking about. I can't tell you what the running total is, but it's significantly less because we had 3 quarters that were large numbers. The appeal was successful, so those numbers have dropped.
Just a quick thought. Yes, the way this sits, you have the auditor bonded at $250,000, but if you take into account the 2 deputy auditors, I mean, that number just went from $250,000 to $750,000. Just a thought.
Mr. Schauber?
And to your point, I agree that that's the way it should go.
Yeah.
But if we go back in history, how was it done? We only went after the 100,000, and the person that admitted the mistake, we've never gone after their bond. But I agree with you. I think that's the way it should go.
Mr. Russell, any comment on that?
So Mr. Schauber may be referring to the approximate 3 to 4 page memorandum that I had composed and sent to the Auditor of State approximately 3 years ago when, as you pointed out, the person that actually made the error and caused the city to incur fines, which it should not incur, and the State Auditor of State never acted in regards to our request to recover against her bond.
Mr. Russell?
I'll just throw out what I think and make a motion, and if it'll go or it won't. I think the position of the auditor should be increased to $500,000, and I think the position of treasurer should be increased to $250,000, and I'll make that in the form of a motion.
You have a motion?
Second.
You sure that's enough?
A second for Mr. Schauber, and now we have some discussion from Mr. Barr.
What are your thoughts?
I don't think that's enough. Sorry, if you would rescind it, I'd make a motion to raise the auditor's bond to $750,000 and the treasurer's to $250,000.
I'll withdraw mine if that's what you want to make. I'm fine with that too.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Schauber, withdraw a second.
Yeah, but I really don't have to, but I will. Did you get a second?
I haven't got a second yet.
I will second Mr. Barr's motion.
Okay,
then.
and Mr. Barr, with the motion to change the numbers to $750,000 for the auditor, and Mr. Schauber is seconding this, with $250 yet for the budget director, is that what he's?
For the treasurer.
Treasurer.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Nutt?
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Can I read it?
Ordinance amending Chapter 149.01 of Marion City Code to require certain employees to have sufficient surety bonds and declaring an emergency as amended, times 2. Mr. Rollins.
Sorry, Mr. Rollins.
Motion to suspend the 3 reading rule.
Okay, we have a motion to suspend 3 readings, and Mr. R. Smith, do you have a second? Okay.
Is this estimated?
Mr. Barr?
But it changes that.
Hold on, Mr. Ratliff had a question.
Well, does it matter that we didn't update the cost?
It says estimated, so.
So, and I actually mentioned this at a prior meeting or the committee meeting, that column 2 is just informational for today only. That's the cost of the bond at this point in time, and it will change, so just like employees, it's information only. Do you need to amend it to add that? No. I mean, it just says estimated cost. I think we're good to go.
Okay.
Sorry, don't mean to drag this out. So if this passes tonight, the auditor's bond is up, the treasurer's bond is increased. When will that be changed?
Effective July 1st.
That's what the language says.
So it says,
becomes effective July 1st of 2025.
So these won't go into effect until until July?
July 1.
July 1? What's the rationale for that? Just to give time to secure them?
I would imagine them probably to get 3 readings through council if we chose to do so.
I'd like to see an amended copy.
Ms. Craig, did you have a
myself,
question?
To make sure everything's the way we want it.
Naomi Craig, 365 Silver Street. Based on the people that I've talked to, the auditor of the state of Ohio, we're out of compliance because our backup treasurer is not bonded. So I think that instead of going back and forth with these dollar amounts, we should probably pass this. And can we make sure that there's a provision in there to authorize the auditor to pay for this? So 5 years from now, when somebody isn't bonded, the intent is known that the auditor had the authorization to pay for these bonds.
I think this says.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor and a second for suspending them for 3 readings. You ready?
Mr. Barr?
No.
Mr. Ratliff?
No.
Mr. Schauber?
Yeah. Yes.
Ms. Lang?
No.
Mr. T. Smith?
No.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
No.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Knapp?
Yes.
Okay.
5,
4,
5.
4, 5, so the motion does not carry. Leave it as a first read.
Madam President,
Yes, Mr. Barr?
I just wanted to make a note. I voted no on the suspension. I'm all for this is because I want to see that it comes back to us properly as amended.
And that's the reason I voted
Ms.
no.
Lang,
I
thank
want
you.
to see it corrected with everything that we've changed.
All right.
What we're saying,
Mr.
I just want to
Cheese.
see it go 3 readings.
This, not an airport, you don't have to announce your departure.
Everybody else is now.
All right, moving on. Item number 10, ordinance 2025-051.
Ordinance amending chapter 111.01 motions C, Rule 3 of the codified ordinance of the city of Marion.
Mr. Neff, another thing out of your committee?
Yeah, this came out of legislation because with a 3-0 recommendation to approve. It's really just clarifying that city council's organizational meeting will take place January 1st at noon. That's simply all that this ordinance is doing.
Okay.
Nobody has a
Questions or
hand.
discussion? Sure. Mr. Schauber?
So that goes back to my question in committee, because this Rule 3 is regular meetings, and if we're using this amendment to clarify a special organizational meeting, is it in the wrong spot? Because in committee, it was explained, no, we're just making the language in Rule 3 clear to someone that doesn't understand January 1st at noon.
Mr. Neff?
I see your point, Councilor Schauber, but just reading rule number 3, the very first sentence, all we're doing is modifying that. The first sentence says, this council following this election shall hold its first meeting an hour set by the council, but instead of saying the council, it's codifying the fact that we're going to have that organizational meeting January 1st at noon. The rest of the Rule 3 goes on to explain committee and council and full committee meetings, my understanding.
So,
Yeah.
do we not have a rule that explains what a special meeting is?
So,
That was my question in committee.
so actually, we have regular meetings, which we're having this evening. From time to time, we have special meetings. What we're actually referring to in Rule 3 is a organizational meeting. And for decades, if not centuries, as a council term has come to an end, they go ahead and they've set the meeting for the beginning of the next term. This is just making it so that there's no question I don't know, maybe you come to the end of a term of council, and there's no agreement on when to set the organizational meeting for. Luckily, for the past couple of decades, there's never been a problem in selecting January 1 at noon.
There was a problem 8 years ago. It was absolute hell trying to not meet on January 1.
Well, we can do those different things, but it's just establishing the date of the organizational meeting. Because statute, the ORC requires the council after the election to hold an organizational meeting. The statute doesn't say what day, but in this case, you're putting it actually in your code.
Other questions or comments from council? Mr. Neff? you
So
have-
literally, we're just codifying the date and the time of the organizational meeting with this legislation.
Anything else? Mr. Ratliff?
Okay, so because we live in Ohio and the meeting is in January, there could be all kinds of issues going on. Why do we feel it's important to tie future councils into January 1st at noon? Like, why, I mean, why do we care?
Why did you care 8 years ago?
Well, I was on council then.
I know.
But if we're setting a rule, why do we care when future councils want to have their organizational meeting? As I guess my question.
Answer to that, anyone on council?
I guess, when you talk about the new council that's coming in, they don't have the opportunity to set that meeting, so the previous council is going to set that meeting. And it's always, and I've been here a couple times too, and it's always been at noon on New Year's, so I guess that's the reasoning. The outgoing council is starting them off saying this is where you're going to go. There's not really any question about when the date and the time of the meeting. I believe that was the intent.
Yes.
Clerk, did you have a?
I think it's also a budgetary issue. The city budget has to be passed. This council can't pass the budget for the next council. They have to do it, and if they don't do it on January 1, the city's got no money to pay bills. It's just my speculation.
Well,
Ms.
just
Greta?
technically, from midnight to noon, we don't have any money to pay the bills for anybody who
We have people working.
who is working. But I guess I just don't know why we would just tie every future council's hand into the first at noon. Maybe because of
We're not taking
a
them into-
storm, they need to meet at 4. And I don't know. I just think it's just a rule to make a rule, and I don't know.
Anyone else? Mr. Chavez?
Yeah, I'm going to shut up for the rest of the evening after this. So, the Republicans that are still part of the club, go ask what happened 8 years ago, that absolute nightmare that we went through. And by setting this, you are asking for trouble.
Okay, wishes of council.
First reading.
First read. All right. Item number 10, ordinance 20.
11.
You're right, sorry.
I don't want to read that again.
Okay. Ordinance 2025-052. Thank you.
Ordinance amending chapter 111.01, motions F, rule 6 of the code of the codified ordinance of the city of Marion.
Mr. Neff?
Yes, this came out of legislation and codes with a 2-1 recommendation to approve. This is our first reading tonight. It's just, I would say, clearing up the schedule and the order of proceedings for the council meeting.
Any questions on that? Mr. Chavez?
Yeah, so I don't know, this will be the new order of business. Introduction and recognition of persons or groups visiting council. And item 10, introduction and recognition of persons desiring to address council on any subject not on the agenda. That's on our agenda now, and we haven't done it. Why is it needed?
Could you repeat that, Mr. Chavez?
Lines 3 and line 10. I asked this in committee because we don't introduce or recognize anyone. We had 2 gentlemen from ODOT today. They did not get any recognition until we got to that item. So is it even necessary to have that step? We're not even doing it now?
Ms. Ratliff?
Now, my assumption is that that would be for if the mayor was going to make a proclamation and had somebody that came in to receive that, like we did with somebody for children, maybe abused children?
Childhood
Cancer, yes.
Right.
A couple months ago. So, I mean, I'm assuming that that spot is for that and not for what we had tonight,
Okay.
is my assumption.
And proclamations are added to the agenda.
They are.
But they would be added at the beginning instead of maybe the end.
Okay, so maybe we should state that it's proclamations too?
And it could be other things, though.
Ms. Lang? What was that?
It could be other things besides just a proclamation. I mean,
Okay.
I think introduction and recognition of persons and groups visiting council is a good title.
Ms. Ratliff?
So is it the intention for that to be on the agenda every time, even if we don't have anybody to do it?
Yeah.
Because another, I guess, example of what I envision for that is when we swear in police officers. But I don't know why that would be on our agenda if we don't have anybody.
Mr. Prater?
Wouldn't it be just a guide to, like, a guide to follow, but if there's nobody to announce, we just skip right by it. It doesn't matter whether it's written down or not. If there's nobody to introduce, we just go by it. Just move on to the next one.
Sounds very reasonable to me.
Mr. Neff, can you clarify the intent of whether these would be typed up for the agenda?
Mr. Barr.
Mr. Buck?
That was the intent, any special groups coming or any special things that are gonna happen, to recognize them at the beginning of the council meeting, to let everybody know that they're here, or go through that. If there's nobody here or needs recognized, then that, and it's different than for matters not on the agenda and wanting to address council. It was just a kind of, hey, we have a government class that came in and said, we just recognize them, or a proclamation or whatever. I just thought it would be nice to say that in the beginning, to let everybody know that that group is here. That was the only intent in it.
Mr. Talbot?
And the intent in item 10, introduction and recognition of persons desiring to address council on any subject not on the agenda. We don't do that now. So is there a sign-in sheet? How are we going to know who to introduce or who to recognize?
Mr. Neff?
I mean, it just looks to me like that was just transferred from the previous, from what we have
Right,
now. That's
right.
just moved down. It's just moved to the new legislation. So, and so we don't have anybody to do that, then we skip on by it, I guess. It's the procedure that's going
That's
on.
what I was getting at,
right?
nothing new there. T. Smith?
Just what comes to mind is when the last time ODOT was here and when MLK was here, they were stuck having to wait forever. So I would assume on that other one, the other issue on number 6 or whatever, about are we able to move them up on the agenda if they have a listed item that's number 6 and then we recognize them, and could we move them as a council to item number 1?
I think that'd be a point of order and we'd have to vote.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was
sorry.
talking to you, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so, yeah, council by a majority vote can change the order of their agenda at any time.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I know I was out of order. You were one question number 10 or whatever.
Right.
But sorry about that.
Anything else?
First reading.
First reading. Item 12, ordinance 2025-053.
Ordinance amending the zoning map of the city of Marion by rezoning 777 East Center Street from an OIA, Office Industrial Apartment District, to a C5 General Business District.
All right, this came out of the Zoning and Annexation Committee with a 3-0 recommendation for approval on the 5th of this month, and it also come out of the Planning Commission with an 8-0 recommendation for approval on 2/11/25. This is all about people wanting to place a tattoo parlor at 77 East Center, and the rezoning of it to make it appropriate and be located in that area. Is there any questions from the public? Yes, sir.
I don't necessarily have a question, but I happened to drive by there today, and I was impressed of how well kept the guy was finishing up mowing the grass, using the blower, cleaning off the walks, and what they've done to the place. I just thought was pretty remarkable, so I just want to add that. So,
Any thoughts from the council?
Mr. Knapp?
I'll just concur what Director Bodine just stated. I live in that neighborhood. That's my neighborhood. That's where I've lived my entire life. That particular property has been unproductive and I think that's probably the best friendly term to use for that property. But the owner now has done upgrades and seems to be taking care of the property. I personally would rather not see it be a C5, especially because this C5 is the definition of spot zoning. You open the textbook and the definition of spot zoning will be 777 East Center Street. But that's where I'm conflicted, because at the same time, we do have a person who has submitted the application. They're working on the property. They want to bring that property back into productivity. So by the same means, I'd say I'm probably going to support this. The other issue for me is there's 3 properties directly to the west of that, which we've kind of discussed before. The property owner of those 3 properties is kind of in opposition to this, unless the caveat that those 3 properties to the west would also be included in this C5, and actually would make that C5 continuous down to the 777 property. So I'm not going to stand in the way. I'm not going to vote no on this rezoning, because we're going to make a productive property out of 777 East Center Street. And then just to take that just a little bit further, if you go east from 777, there's a 2-block OIA zone that I feel, I know maybe there was discussion at Planning Commission, and I will say that I have not attended the Planning Commission meetings, but maybe there was just a thought or a conversation about making that whole zone C5, and I just feel that's not the characteristic of that neighborhood. That OIA zone and that 2-block radius there, half of those properties on East Center Street are owner-occupied homes, one of which is mine. The other half of those homes are mostly single-family rental units, which, you know, we need single-family rental units as well. If you go down the alleys on the north side of that street in this LIA zone, there's no alley. So there's no access behind. You would have to have a curb cut in Center Street to have some kind of parking if you were to run any kind of a business in that area. On my side of the street, it would, the south side of Center, that would push the traffic in those 2 blocks to the alley, and the alley's just super congested, right? There's no place for parking. So my thought was maybe to try and get that rezoned out of an OIA into an R zoning, which it would be consistent with the rest of the area when you go north and you go south of there. This is just a weird little OIA island that's right there.
Where's that at exactly? What businesses? Was that where the gas station is that you're talking about?
If you're on the north side of Center Street.
On the north side.
There would be the Marion Township Fire Department.
Got it.
And then if you go east, that's the 2 blocks of the OIA that I'm
Got
talking
it.
about.
Got
Ms.
it.
Warren?
On both sides of the
Oh,
street.
sorry. Ms. Warren, do you have some clarification?
So I would just say that I'm probably going to be in favor of this zoning request, but it is the definition of spot zoning, and it would be much better to fill in the rest of that to the west in the C5.
Go ahead, Edwin.
Edwin, Miss Regional Planning. Yes, tomorrow night is city planning, and we are proposing to initiate a rezoning of that whole stretch with the rezone to C5, those 3 properties to the west of 777, and then rezone the properties to the east, the full stretch to R2. And then maybe even on both sides of the street, of Center Street. So we've had our planner go out and look and write down what every single use is up and down that whole stretch. But I do think that that would eliminate, I mean, we can go forward with this zoning, knowing that it's not going to be really spot for very long, but it will come before you as soon as we can get it out of city planning and then on to the zoning organization.
Mr. Beck?
I just want to say thank you, Evelyn, and your word is good with me. So I know you're not making the decision for the planning commission, but your word is 100% good with me, and that seemed to be, would be in the best interest of the entire neighborhood. So I thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. R. Smith.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo what Mr. Neff said. I got a call from the guy that owns those 3 properties, and he said that he was opposed to this being zoned, the tattoo parlor being zoned, unless the other 3 were also zoned. So he would like also that.
Mr. Ratliff?
Okay, so this has an applicant. Did this have an application fee?
This one is.
And can I ask how much that the application fee was?
$350.
If we are going to do the block, what do we think about giving him his application fee back?
Council.
I think, I mean, if we're gonna, I just think if every building on the block is gonna get the same thing, I don't know why he has to pay for it and the other people get it for free. I just think he should get his $350 back.
Mr. Neff?
Mr. Ratliff, I think you have a good point, but for me, I'm just going to fall back on the fact, and I hate to do this because this comes up a lot, is some property owner buys a property with an intended use and then comes to find out that they can't have that intended use. Then they have to start this whole process. So that's why we're even here discussing this right now tonight. So I do see your point, though. I mean, it's a valid point, and I think that's something council should consider.
All right, are there any more comments or questions?
It's not committee, Mr. Prater.
What's that?
It's not committee.
Sorry.
Anything else? First reading, Mr. Prater?
Yep, this is first reading.
Item 13, ordinance 2025-054.
Ordinance to establish a community development program through the State of Ohio's Community Development Block Grant, CBDG, and to authorize the mayor to apply for community development allocations, neighborhood revitalization grant funds, and administer the grant and declaring an emergency.
Jobs and economic development,
This
or just,
Yes, this came out of Jobs and Economic Development with a 3-0 recommendation for approval. And I'm going to let Ms. Warmness explain.
Yes, so we would like this just to be the first reading of it. I'll have a public hearing at your next regular council meeting, which should be the day after Memorial Day, February 27th. And at that time, we'll take further comment from the citizens. I'll put it in the newspaper in advance of that meeting. But the gist of it is we're applying for the allocation grant with Fairground and Leader Street Trail for $129,000. Rec Center, YMCA as a public service for $28,000. The admin, audit, fair housing, $39,000, so $196,000 for your full application. And then simultaneously applying for the neighborhood revitalization grant for the Lincoln Park neighborhood. That would have, keep in mind, your Fairground and Leader Street will be used as leverage for that trail. So $129,000 is in the formula grant or the allocation grant, and the remaining $18,000 would be in the neighborhood revitalization. You have Waldorf Park Shelter at $20,000, Boys and Girls Club Bus Shelter at $7,000, $280,000 going toward the North Prospect Street sewer. Is that what you guys need the money for? Okay, I'll get with you on that, because that whole street rebuild can have a variety of activities. I do need to pick one to call it for the grant. And that's just really leverage for their OPWC money. And then $400,000 for commercial and universal avenues, curbs, sidewalks, both sides of the street. Total project, $750,000. In the event that that competitive neighborhood revitalization does not get funded, we'll pull the Leader Street Trail, Fairground and Leader Street Trail out and replace it with Lupin Outreach Homeless Shelter, HVAC. And then your next item that you'll see on your council today is a separate application for the downtown one. And that's where we put Lupin and the Rec Center with its own grant application.
thank you. Mr. Ratliff?
One clarification.
Okay.
It's if the downtown grant does not get funded, then they flip.
We aren't going to find, do you want it that way? Because I can change it to that.
Well, that's the only way it works.
Well, I had for the downtown one,
That's where we have leap in.
right, but that has now, it now has a different application date, I found out, because it's going to be in July. So, do you want,
Well, that throws a wrench in our whole plan.
Yeah.
Regulated developments, not projects. So it doesn't.
I could say,
Our master plan,
and I know.
Okay.
And it was only when I found out that they changed the dates on the downtown.
because whether their neighborhood revitalization grant gets approved or not has nothing to do with the Lincoln homeless, because that's not part of that.
That we can only do that if it's leverage.
So my understanding was that even if they, which we thought they were closer, but even if they had different dates, if we could apply for them as is, and if we didn't get the downtown, because they're not projects that are gonna be funded until next year,
Right.
and it's a dollar for dollar switch the way that we did it, that they could still be, that could still be switched out, even if we didn't get the downtown grant, is what my understanding was.
Okay, so in that case, what we would do is maybe state that the alternate project, if the downtown grant, just make a mention of that in your formula, in your allocation grant.
Which,
So in your first ordinance, that if the downtown grant, the asterisk, alternate project if downtown grant is not funded,
right,
yes.
so that should say DTG instead of NRG?
Yep, that's fine.
Is that an amendment? And that's honestly the way it came out of committee. That should have said downtown.
Okay, I misunderstood it that way. So then, that's okay, I'll wait till you get to the next one then, because then we don't really need an alternate. Well, no, then we won't have an alternate in the downtown.
Correct.
All the more reason to have this be the first reading, I can correct for your next meeting.
Third reading.
Anything additional on that?
Tammy, 360 Silver Street. Mr. Ratliff, I just wanted to say thank you very much for the plan that you put together for the grants.
Thank you.
It was very comprehensive, and I'm not sure that we would have been able to come up with a plan like that without you. And we're
They would've
going
got
to-
it.
Well, I think we're going to miss you when you're gone.
Thank you.
Anything else? First reading then?
Yes, first reading.
Okay, item number 14, ordinance 2025-055.
Ordinance to establish a community development program through the state of Ohio's Community Development Block Grant, CBDG program, and to authorize the mayor to apply for the flexible grants downtown buildings program and administer the grant and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Arslet or Ms. Warnes? Which one?
Yeah, this came out of Jobs and Economic Development also, same as the previous. Ms. Warmanis, would you explain this one to us?
This one, we put for $131,000, leave and outreach their HVAC system at 152 Court Street, and then the roof for the rec center at YMCA, the full roof replacement at $108,000, $12 for admin, that takes us to the maximum of $250,000.
Ms. Stratton?
Now, again, just to go over what I'm going to say clerical errors, because that's the way that it came out of committee, where it's blank for, I'm sorry, it's on the next line, I see that. But the alternate should be taken out because we don't,
Yes.
we don't need, we can just draw a line through that because we don't need one. Because we're either going to get this grant or we're not.
Right, right.
Just having a public hearing too.
Yes, this will have a public hearing at the next meeting.
May 27th. Public hearing. Give it as first reading.
First reading.
We come to matters not on the agenda. Robert?
Yeah, I think there are still a few folks left from Rosewood and Brentwood that are here to hear about or discuss what is going on at the elementary school. Sure.
Comments? Questions?
Mr. Kearns, thanks for coming tonight. I know you had a birthday party you wanted to attend. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else? I got one thing. Stand here.
Yes.
I'm just here. I'm Sean Curry with Marion City Schools, Athletics and Activities Director. Maybe more importantly for what I'm here for tonight, I'm here to talk about a pollinator garden project that we're working on at Garfield Elementary. For about 20 years, I've been responsible for managing, maintaining, planning a prairie project at Harding High School. That's similar to this in some ways. It's a lot bigger. It's more of a prairie, a woodland, and a wetland. This is just a pollinator garden. So I took on this new role with the city schools in this past year. And one of the things that, we've had this out of Harding for 20 years, and it kind of occurred to me that we've got a lot of green space in a lot of our elementary schools. Garfield being one of those. And it's, for me, schools are more than just places for kids to be educated. Schools are places where the community can come all times of the day and night. I also believe that every acre and every square inch of a school's property should be for the community, should be for educational purposes. Based on my experience with what we did at Harding, I saw an opportunity for expansion of that into some of our elementary schools and around town. So what we're planning over there with the help of Pheasants Forever is a pollinator garden. If you've been at Garfield Elementary, you know there's a lot of green space behind the school. It goes all the way back to where Brentwood, Rosewood, and Oliver Street come in behind there. It's basically just been either mowed or not mowed, off and on, I think, over however many years, 20 years since it's been built over there. And I thought we had an opportunity for something better. So that better is this pollinator garden. The idea of it, you can kind of, if somebody wants to, you guys can see what you have there, but the idea being to put plants back there that are native. They attract things like hummingbirds, butterflies, bees, bumblebees, that kind of thing. It's also an opportunity for kids to go back there through mowed paths all around through it, where they can go back there and study. It's a place where the community can also come and walk through and learn about things that are back there. It's an opportunity for us to reclaim some natural ground for pollinators. And I think, way down the line, it also saves us money in gas, labor, maintenance, and equipment, and so on. This is about a 6-acre project at Garfield. If you go and you check and you see what going rates are for maintenance or mowing of grass, it's about $50 an acre. So we've got about 6 acres there. So about 300 acres, or $300 every time you would mow it. You figure in the course of the summer somewhere around 25 mows. We would probably save somewhere in the neighborhood of $7,500 just at Garfield in gas, maintenance, labor, and that sort of thing. But that's not really the reason we're doing it. The reason is for education of our kids primarily, and then also something that the community can be proud of. I guess that's kind of the nutshell thing. Part of the process of this, again, with Pheasants Forever,
in order to replace the turf grass with the native plants that we want to put in, you first have to kill the turf grass, so when you plant the native plants, they don't have competition. So we've done that part. There was concern in the neighborhood when they saw the sprayed grass because it's brown and dead, obviously. And so we had a meeting last Monday?
That's Tuesday.
Last Tuesday over at Garfield. So I tried to explain best I could what we were doing over there. Kind of gave a little presentation and some background information, just to kind of give you a fuller picture. Not only will there be paths kind of through that whole area. Another part of the project will put things like bird boxes in. This is an example of a bluebird box. It's made out of cedar and license plate on top to help protect it a little bit. This is a gourd birdhouse. We grew a bunch of these at Harding and hung them up all over the place. This is the same type of thing that we might do over there, or will do over there. And it's just designed to bring something neat to the school, and neat to the neighborhood, and good for nature, and also good for our pocketbooks for that matter. So, here to answer any questions or anything that anyone might have. So,
Council, questions?
and I will say, Mike Bodine, you kind of see in the back of the packet my first run at it. Mike Bodine helped do a much nicer version. One thing that came up was there was concern there wasn't enough room there for kids to play with the ball diamond, flag football, and whatnot. So he helped me include. He did all that work. He helped me include, I guess you could say, sort of not really a compromise. Just it shows a much better version where it includes the ball field and also includes where the flag football field plans to be and that sort of thing. So, yep. There's a smaller version of this inside those packets. Anybody else want a pack? They got a few more.
I have a few more.
You have a few more of those too?
Yeah. What do you mean you want to? Yeah, just grab the placemats.
Thank you.
Did you have a question?
Is it my turn?
Yes.
So Mr. Kearns, I appreciate this, the picture. Now, is this to scale?
That actually is overlaid. If you can kind of look at that new one, it overlays. You can see the properties and whatnot. And the actual ball diamond, that home plate is exactly where the backstop is behind Garfield. So that gives you an idea.
In this drawing.
Exactly where that is. Yeah.
So it has the 100-foot buffer, and that was a lot of issue that was brought up, was how close it is to the houses, because these plants will be tall.
Relatively. I mean, just, kind of give you a scale. Has anybody been to Harding and seen our prairie out back? So at Harding, that's a tall grass prairie. Okay, and so late in the summer, sometimes those grasses get 7 or 8 feet tall in a good year. Like this year with all this rain, they'll get tall. This particular mix has no grass in it. No grass at all. It completely flowers. This is basically one giant flower garden. These things will be anywhere from 1 foot. Probably the tallest that any of these things will be about 4 feet tall. Most will be between 1 and 3 feet. They are designed to bloom throughout the summer. So anytime you go out there, you won't see much this year if it's planted this year because it takes them a year to establish themselves. But if you come out there next year, there'll be something that blooms all throughout the year. Like a few things will be blooming now. Then if you go out there in June, some other things will bloom, July, August, and so on. So, and then what we'll do as a district like we do at Harding is probably late October, early November, we'll go back there and we'll knock it all down for the winter, and then it's just down for the winter. That way it helps regenerate it, I guess you could say, with compost it and that sort of thing. It also helps spread the seed around a little bit.
So Mr. Kearns, if I get back to what I'm trying to bring out, so the buffer area on this drawing, is that the current buffer area that you have now?
No, this is more.
So it'll be out further, because that was one of the compromises that I thought we could come to, was more of a buffer area between the house and this field. And also on the ball diamond, there was thought Tuesday night meeting that it was going to be into where the gardens are at. So with this drawing, I don't have a legend to tell me what an inch is.
Yeah, that
So it-
outfield, I think, what did we put it, 100, 170? Mike, if we put that outfield fence, I think, 170.
170, yes.
In the area around the ball diamond before it gets into the pollinator garden is how big of an area is
It's
that?
probably at 10 feet.
10 feet?
10 feet offset.
Oh, the little, yeah, so just for scale, the paths and the offset, that's basically 8-foot paths, right?
Those are 8-foot paths, but there is from the back of the field to the start of the pollinator garden, it's 10 feet.
Okay, and I know that was a real big issue for some people, was that ball diamond having enough place. And I think it's mainly because they don't want the kids to get into the flowers and tear them up if this is a project that moves forward. And the other thing is, with the height, do we have an issue about it going against our zoning code, or do we have any resolution with that?
So the
Because this all could be for nothing. if-
Marion City Code 678.01 is the requirement that within residential zones that the grass be kept no higher than 6 inches. This project will not conflict with that section of Marion City Code because, as you mentioned, there's no grass, because this code section controls grass height. And then it talks about weeds or other noxious or harmful vegetation. And what he's talking about is not, he said native species. So it would not violate this section of code.
Mr. Kearns, if you'll remain for a few other questions from the public. We have
Who should I?
one back there. If you'll come forward, please, and put your give us your name and address.
So my concern is...
Name and address, please.
I'm sorry, my name's Brock Howard. Who am I speaking to here?
You speak to council as a whole.
Speak to council.
All right, so my thing is, so we're discussing about the ball field, and we're talking about moving the zones. Well, what are we going to do to be able to surround this place? See, I'm a resident that lives on the west side, and I see this every day. I see people go up and down the road on the mopeds, and I take my kids to school every day at Garfield Elementary. And I see people riding through on the property of Garfield on their mopeds. What are we going to be able to do to protect that land from getting destroyed from the people who don't take care of it? You know, that's my concern. Is, yeah, if we're going to do this, how are we going to be able to maintain it from the people who destroy it? You know, I see it every day. The kids, for example, Glenwood Park, all they do is they destroy it. I'm talking about glass bottles, they throw their trash. I just don't feel like I don't think it's going to be maintained where a fence or something should be put around this to maintain people from going in and destroying it. That's a concern of mine.
I'm sorry, could you give us your address also?
333 Waterloo Street.
Mr. Kearns,
Is that a question for me?
have you had any?
My
Thoughts?
general reaction to that is I don't want to back down to vandals and to not have something nice. If that becomes a problem, I think we'll address it as needed. I don't want to see them destroy it. But at the same time, I don't want to not do this because we're concerned about what might happen.
I understand. Before I get off here, let me just double check on this. So you're talking about it bringing the bees, and it bringing, I feel like it's going to bring the spiders, it'll bring snakes, it'll bring bunnies on top of the coyotes. I just feel like that's more of a problem than it is a benefit.
To an extent, I hope that we do bring some of those things. Some of those things are actually good things. I would argue, not really argue, but I would point out that you also, on that piece of property, in that neighborhood, you back right up against the farm field, agricultural field.
So how about the kids that get stung by the bees? Is there going to be more EpiPens located at Garfield now, or like that's concern of mine as well?
I mean, if necessary. I mean,
it's all a possibility.
Yeah. So, what I was getting at is you have an agricultural field there. So, that agricultural field, in terms of attracting things like, bees. If it's soybeans, you're going to have a lot of bees that are attracted to that field at certain times of the year. You're going to have a lot of things that are attracted, whether it's corn, beans, or wheat, to that field at harvest time, much more than what this pollinator garden is going to attract. but at the same time, spiders are help to control other insects. Snakes help to control any rodents and things like that. So we hope that we have a balanced ecosystem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Barr, and then I'll go to another question from the public.
I just have a couple questions. Mr. Kearns, I was at your meeting last Tuesday. These buffer areas, part of those were sprayed. I'm assuming they'll be replanted. And then I think the biggest frustration that I got out of that meeting from the residents on that side was the lack of notification. So moving forward, and I realize it doesn't need to be done again, but if there's going to be anything like that, I'm sure you're going to be conscientious enough to make sure that we're a warning and putting signage out or letters out or whatever we have to let the neighbors know what's going on.
Yep.
Can I also make one thing known, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, but we've got another person recognized by the chair. If you'll state your name and address, please.
I'm Beth English. I live at 404 Brentwood Drive. And my biggest concern was my children were in that field when it was being sprayed. That field, I know it's not our property. I don't care about that. What I care about is my children. Sorry, it just is very frustrating that it was okay to do this without any notification to our community. I live 2 doors away. My children are in that field every single day. Every day. But there was no consideration to our children. So that is why I'm frustrated. So this is a great plan, but at the same time, you talk about a community that you want to involve, but you didn't involve us. You had no respect for our involvement. So I'm frustrated because you say the community, you want to bring us to it, but you didn't involve us at all. You basically just said, well, we're going to go spray this field and not give anyone the respect to give us any notification. My children were playing football when your sprayer guy told them to get out of the field. So, I think that that's very disrespectful. Like, I had to put out a sign to let other neighborhood kids know that it wasn't safe for them to go in that field. And I don't think that is appropriate. I think that's absolutely inappropriate. Thank you.
Yes, so Ms. English, and I'm going to do this myself, and I would encourage all the neighbors over there to do it as well. I used to be a licensed applicator, and anytime you spray any chemicals, you have to flag it. In some instances, like I believe this may fall into that, you have to give a 24-hour notice. And that did not happen in this case. So the Ohio Department of Agriculture is who you go through and file this complaint through their crop specialty breakdown. But I will send you the link if you want to file a complaint as well. I'm going to do one, but it's the schools hired the contractor, and it falls all on the shoulders of the contractor. And we have to do these complaints so this doesn't happen again.
Anyone else? One more.
My name's Brock Howard. I'd like to carry on from the woman before me. So how she's talking about her children playing football on that field, I had the softball scrimmage on the backstop, and she's correct. The guy who told her to get her kids to get off the field, he looked at me and told, I have my bases laid out, and he told me to get off the field. He's spraying a harmful chemical that could harm my kids, and I need to move to a different piece of the property. Sean Kearns here pulled up in his vehicle, seen me practicing, walked to the guy. I actually have witnesses off my softball team where he talked to the landscaping guy, walked past me, hey Brock, how you doing? Never give me a warning, hey, you might want to move to practice. And went back in his car and left. I never got a warning, and I actually have a few upset parents that are very upset that they didn't get warned either. And to be honest with you, I've been coaching softball for the past 3 years. I've never had a practice when my kids got hurt. But I had to move from the area that I had moved to. I had 3 kids get hurt that day, and to be honest, I had a kid go to the hospital because she had an asthma attack, and she didn't go to school that next day, and she's never had that type of problem before. I just want to make that known. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I went over there just to see what was going on. The guy told me that nothing was a problem, because he said as soon as it's dry, it's harmless. I'm not an expert. I don't know. He had just, that's what he told me. So I don't know. I had no idea where you were before or after, whatever. I saw you, I know you, so I waved to you. I wasn't. Oh yeah,
But he stopped what he was doing and talked to you. You knew he was spraying.
Oh yeah, I knew he was spraying.
Why
Yeah,
didn't
I
you tell
wasn't.
me?
He said you guys already spoke.
But you could have told me. It's your responsibility.
He told me nothing was harmful, so I was just saying hello.
Sean, you
Okay, sorry.
I'm not an expert in spray. He just told me nothing. Once it dries, it's not harmful.
But you could have
And you guys were near that.
Can you get control of this, man?
I was not avoiding.
Mr. Howard,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not an expert. I wasn't
Mr.
avoiding
Kearns has
anything.
the floor.
I was just saying hello for the record. Okay. Yeah.
Mr. Ratliff.
All right, so obviously there's been some pretty poor execution so far. I think we could all agree to that, and I think that, I think that the school, by some standard, owes some apologies to a few people that has already spoke tonight, and I think that's just common courtesy. Now, I was on council when we passed the law, or the ordinance, 4-6 inches for grass and weeds. And we had heard from people from the health department that told us that it was really important to do that. And a big reason was because of mosquitoes. And that mosquitoes carried a lot of different diseases. And so I don't know what the plan is for that. It looks like that this really is just a 100-feet buffer area between extremely residential areas. And so, what is the plan to keep pests down?
To keep pests down? Specifically mosquitoes?
Yes.
Well, again, in the end, you hope this is a balanced type of ecosystem. I mean, there'll be certain things in there that would eat mosquitoes, obviously, spiders notwithstanding, or whatever the case might be. This is within the city. The city fogs for mosquitoes, right? Is that correct? Yeah.
Certain times, yes, but I don't know that it would clear over into.
Yes, so the fogging of mosquitoes question, they've never been on Rosewood, Brentwood. I've always seen them in the parks.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to my experience at Harding. I don't know that in 20 years, I don't know that I've seen a bigger occurrence of mosquitoes. I mean, Harding's also technically within the city. It's kind of the opposite end of town, obviously, on the east end. I can't say that there won't be mosquitoes. There's going to be a lot of things as part of this. I mean, you're bringing this from turf grass to more of a natural habitat, and hopefully there also are things there that are going to eat mosquitoes. Things like dragonflies, spiders, and whatnot. So.
Miss English?
Yeah. Beth English at 404 Brentwood Drive. How far is our buffer right now?
With the grass right now?
Just right now where it stands, not this.
Yeah, I would say on the Brentwood and Rosewood end, it's right up next to the tree. There's one tree back there. So
But how far?
I'm going to say 30 to 40 feet.
So it's going to be double that?
Yeah, it should be twice as far. Now on this other side, this side is not as currently as far. But it'll be, it's probably over here, it's maybe 10 to 15 feet. So that'll be a bunch over there.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Just, one thing I just want to say, I mean, I'm doing my best to bring something good to the neighborhood here. I called the city, last fall, and I think part of it is, we didn't just do this willy-nilly. I mean, I've been going and talking to pheasants forever. We're probably going on a year now about getting involved in this. I did call the city, and obviously, because of what you just heard, There wasn't any red flags or anything to me brought up that was problematic. So certainly apologize if people got the wrong information or didn't get the information or whatever. We certainly went through the principal at the school. There's been a lot of planning with this, so obviously anything going forward, if we're going to do this in other parts of the town or whatever, we're certainly going to make sure everybody has something in their mailbox. I know that things have gone out through the school, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it gets everybody in the neighborhood that doesn't have a kid in the school. So that's there's a hole there too. So not my intent to upset people. One thing I'm excited for you to see it. I think you're really gonna like it. I think you're really gonna like it. It's gonna leave a lot of green space too for all the other things like playing ball and all that too. But it's gonna be a unique thing and a nice thing for not just this neighborhood, but we hope even down the line maybe we can do it some other places. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thanks.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is reports.
Tammy, Grade 365 Silver Street. I have an empty lot on Silver Street. This might be a question for Mr. Russell. I've always wanted to grow wildflowers on it, so did I just get the okay to grow 2 to 4 foot wildflowers on a lot in the middle of town? If it's just flowers? Because I can get seeds if it's just flowers.
The code section is 678.01.
Okay? So that's not, I don't get an explanation, the schools can get flowers, and if I do it, I might get a ticket?
The code I referenced was 678.01.
I'm not an attorney, so I'm asking an attorney to explain it to me, please.
If you need, if you have questions after you read this section of the code, I'll be happy to follow up with you.
Okay, I'll just have my attorney explain it to me.
Reports. April 2025 budget transfer report. Do you have anything on that?
I just wanted to, that's your month.
Had something else before she goes past.
sorry.
We're still on matters on the agenda, not on the agenda.
Yes.
So I just wanted to mention that last week we had a very good conversation in this chambers from council and the public about some new security measures that we were looking at implementing for City Hall, specifically during council and committee meetings. As a result of that, I sent out an email and a memo to all of the council people, and I think that's been shared pretty thoroughly with other people, but we can post it on our Facebook page also so everybody sees that. But basically, in a nutshell, it ends up making City Hall will open at 6 o'clock for those meetings, and it will close 1 hour after the end of the meeting. At the end of the meeting, when the gavel drops, we'll lock the front doors so nobody else can come in, and then people will have an hour if needed. If not needed, our security person will make sure the building is clear and then lock up after the last person leaves. So any questions or comments on that, I'd be glad to answer for that.
Thank you, Craig, 365 Silver Street. And actually, Mr. Mayor, I wanted to say thank you for listening to people. And multiple people have sent me messages and told me to tell you thank you. I don't know why they won't do it themselves. But also, there was a little chit chat out in the hallway before we came in, and we all like the security, so thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Any other matters not on the agenda? Let's go on into the budget. Report.
That's your monthly report of budget transfers for the month, which include any ordinances that were approved last month. It's very short. We're definitely getting on the train here. Less budget ordinances that I have to bring to you for adjustments. So if you have any specific questions in there, that was sent to you electronically before as part of the packet is online as well.
Questions? All right, hearing none, then we'll move on to committee meetings. Airport lands and buildings.
Madam President, I don't think any of us have our committee grids. So it's tough.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
You'll have to spoon feed us what we have coming up because I don't think anybody else knows.
I'm sorry, my bad, I'm used to printing 4 pages and the agenda was quite a bit longer. That is my bad. Job and economic development, can-do ordinance, you wanted that back on the agenda to discuss?
Yes, we'll try that one more time.
Legislation codes and regulations, the charter discussion and any other potential legislation,
6:35.
6:35?
First one was 6:30?
Yes. I've heard nothing for municipal services or public utilities or airport lands and buildings. Regional planning is the 4th Wednesday at 7 p.m. I know of nothing for streets and sewers. Zoning and annexation, pending the outcome of regional planning tomorrow, you may have a solar regulation ordinance coming your way. Would you like to call a meeting at 6:40, anticipating that?
Yes.
And then the last one is Finance Committee, old business and reports, 6:45.
Good, Ms. Lang?
Yeah, 6:45. And there's nothing, I did talk to the airport today, and there is nothing coming up.
So did you say no finance? I thought I heard no finance.
No airport.
No airport, but finance is meeting, yes. Mr. Gibbons?
Monday the 19th is actually going to be the day that the representative from Clark Schaefer Hackett will be here to discuss his proposed timeline. So he'll be here for Finance Committee that day.
Okay.
Mr. Rattler?
Could we have a discussion about flipping the times of jobs and finance so that Clark Schaefer Hackett is not here for
The whole meeting?
I don't have a problem with that.
That's a good idea.
I just thought I'd let you know so that you're not thinking of canceling.
So finance will be at 6:30 and job and economics will be at 6:45?
Is that okay with you, Mr. Arsenault?
Yes.
What was the discussion about?
It's the new audit, financial audit team that's going to be doing it.
Does that work for everybody? Committees?
The 24, 24, 24, and 25.
With that, we are adjourned.
All right.